Hello and welcome to the Draft Talk podcast. And we are sticking ever closer to this year's draft. Very exciting. And yeah, well, so exciting. Quarterbacks. Usually, kind of. We'll see. It's our top five. It's our final top five of this, our fifth season doing this. And we're looking at the quarterbacks. We say the best of last, maybe. We shall see. Who knows? But yeah.
I do.
For certain teams, this is really exciting, right? But yes, let's get cracking. But before we do, we should probably introduce ourselves if you don't know already. I'm your host Brian, and as ever, these two legends are joining us, Stu and Owen. How are you guys?
Go
on. I'm usually very enthusiastic about top fives, and particularly when we get to quarterbacks, but I'm not going to spoil it too much, but I'm not as enthusiastic.
You guys are doing my head in already. Come on, get up for it.
We will be animated. We will talk lots because we love talking draft prospects. And yeah,
I'll try and sell it to you. So we are not going to see 7 quarterbacks go in the first round, but that means that this episode matters more than the one last year, because there's names here who need some serious evaluation, shall we say. It's not all rosy. So it means that what we have to say will be important, because these quarterbacks are going to feature throughout the draft, not just in the first round.
There you go.
That means you have to watch Thursday night and Friday night and Saturday.
Yeah, late
to get
your
Sunday.
To get your
there might be some
fixed.
undrafted free agents here. Yeah.
Okay, well, if that can't get you excited, I don't know. I don't know what can. Okay, yep. So the guys have they've watched the tape. They've loved it. They've not loved it, but they're gonna give us our evaluation on this year's quarterback draft class. I'll come to you first. Who's your number 5?
Yeah. So there's no doubt it's a slog working through these quarterbacks. We've left them till last. We always leave the quarterbacks till last, and it was a good job we did this year, because it's taken that much convincing, I suppose, of some of these prospects. And look, we're not going to lie to you here that this isn't a great class, and so sorting out these later numbers is difficult. And just because a player is at number 3, 4, or 5 doesn't mean that they're necessarily even ranked in the top 100 players in this class. Saying that, number 5 for me is Tyler Shutt from Louisville. Where to start with Tyler Shutt? So he entered college in 2018, redshirted, was then Justin Herbert's backup in 2019, then transferred when in 2020 he was the starter for Oregon in the COVID season, played the 7 games, but then transferred when he wasn't going to be the starter. So then he spent 3 seasons at Texas Tech, and then transferred to Louisville in 2024, where he finally played 12 games. And I say finally because this is the sticking point with Tyler Shutt, that he transferred to Texas Tech. He then, in his first season at Texas Tech, broke his collarbone in 2021. In 2022, he then broke the same collarbone to end the season. And then in 2023, he broke his leg. So we have extensive...
Does he wear this shirt number 13 by any chances, boy?
He's 25 and he played 12 games in 2024. It was the first time he's played 12 games in his career and played a full season. He's currently 25. In his rookie season, he will turn 26 before his rookie season. This guy's only 5 years younger than me, and he's just about to enter the NFL. Like, his story is crazy, isn't it? That it's a lengthy college career, but in terms of arm talent, in terms of natural athleticism, he isn't going to be a dual threat, but he has natural movement, natural athleticism. He's got very good size, 6'5", 224 pounds, and he has really strong accuracy, decision making, and he has enough presence to be able to command an offense in the NFL, I believe, that he can read pre-snap. He's got good anticipation. He's got good awareness. People now look for who could be the next Brock Purdy in a draft class. You're going to hear that for probably the next 20 years. Who could be, we had it with Tom Brady being a 6th-round pick. We've then had it, we're not comparing Brock Purdy with Tom Brady, but in terms of where they were drafted. And then someone else we're looking for the next one. Tyler Shook could be that because, look, I think he's going to be a long-time NFL starter? No. I've got him ranked at number 5 because I think he could be a long-time NFL player in terms of being a backup and one of those players who could potentially move around the NFL and will consistently stay on and stick on rosters as maybe a 3rd quarterback or a backup, because he's got a really good mechanics. He's got strong arm. He's mature in his mentality. He clearly got really good resiliency in terms of being able to bounce back from all those injuries. Look, he's old. He's injured a lot, but if he has traits that NFL quarterbacks have, and that is enough to be at number 5 in this class.
Yeah, it's a roller coaster with him, isn't it? And you're saying he's old. I am just a few months off being old enough to legally be his dad. So he's not that old, all right. Yeah, so Owen's outlined his career really well there. He's got a big, strong arm. He's capable of making those deep throws. He has an ideal size. He's been around the block a lot, so I'm assuming he knows a lot of football. He's been around enough programs and enough coordinators to have maybe picked up something. His injuries and his age and his inability to really catch on with the team until he was nearly 26, for me, just rings a little bit of alarm bells. I had him at quarterback 7. Maybe Brian will keep you right, because I did send my big long list. I've actually lost it, who I had, because that shows how much I had them in a big cluster, really. But yeah, there's traits, but I just don't know. There's just enough to put me off there. I can't say I'm going to hang my hat on any quarterback, to be honest. So if somebody wants to say to me, actually, Tyler Shook is going to be a backup and he'll come in when somebody's injured and throw a few torpedoes and win a game, who am I to disagree with that?
Yeah, I think you summed it up there. Right? There isn't a lot to fall in love with, but there isn't a lot to fall in love with a lot, and therefore you're just kind of searching for who could potentially stick around, because you don't want to do prospects dirty in that way, but in terms of high level talent, it's lacking some. Look, no one's going to get angry about having someone 5, 6, 7 in this class, because it's such a mixture. There was just enough there to think that he had something.
There we go. You had him at 9, actually, Stu. But
well, there you go.
Well, I'm off them.
It's not a saving it.
No. 7 was enough.
Sorry.
Good. So, okay, Stu, let's have your number 5, please.
Yeah, with absolutely no confidence whatsoever in my pick here. I've gone for number 5, Kyle McCord, the quarterback from now Syracuse. He originally was at Ohio State, where he had a couple of years of backup to CJ Stroud, had a year starting, and then with Will Howard transferring over, decided that he was going to go to pastures new. He is got better each of the last 2 seasons. So I think there's a little bit of progression happened there. He went from a huge jump in his passing attempts. His accuracy got very slightly better. He threw for a hell of a lot more yards, hell of a lot more touchdowns. He also threw a hell of a lot more interceptions as well, and got sacked a hell of a lot more, but he did rush for a few touchdowns. So I think there's a slight upward trajectory slowly from Kyle McCord. He's got a strong arm. He does have a very quick release. He's got quite good mechanics, I think. He gets the ball out very quickly. And he does have a bit of reasonable pre-snap recognition. Although he had 3 rushing touchdowns, he's not a really significant threat as a runner, and he sometimes does struggle a bit with pocket awareness for me. And when he's under pressure, he's a little bit inconsistent. But I'm betting on the jump that he's had as being, could he jump a little bit more? Because he is still quite young. He's going to just turn 23 right at the time of the start of the season.
Yeah, I get it. But his ability, he is one of those players who I think can competently operate an offense if he is kept clean. He's definitely he's got confidence, and he can drive the ball in short areas. I think he lacks some arm strength, and I think he is panicked when playing under pressure. I also wasn't a massive fan of some accuracy and decision making given the arm strength, especially when throwing the ball deep. The ball faded on him, and you have to think that he would have anticipated that happening.
That kind of 15 to 30 yard range, he's much better than when he starts going over that. I think that's when he loses something.
Yeah, but in terms of a player that has the ability to manage games from the pocket, if he's kept clean, then yeah, I see the same things in Callum Quad. He would be 7 for me, but there's 8 is much of a muchness, really.
Good. Right, moving on. I'll have your number 4, please, Owen.
My number 4 is Jalen Milroe from Alabama. Jalen Milroe has the one trait in this whole class that I would classify as elite, and that is his running ability. That's the only time you'll hear the word elite from me on this podcast, on this episode, but Jalen Milroe's rushing ability is elite, and that is one trait that you can hang your hat on, and for that alone is why he sits at number 4, because his passing ability is some of the most questionable and inconsistent also in this class. That it's a roller coaster when you watch Jalen Milroe, because 6'2", 217 pounds. He didn't run at the combine, but at his pro day, he's clock running 4.37 at the 40-yard dash, which is just incredible numbers for a quarterback. And that speed translates onto the field. That's I fully believe that he ran that quickly, because he does run that quickly on the field, but it's designed runs. It isn't when the play breaks down, what can he do? And he's running outside, running after us, like that isn't him. He's quite poor in his instincts to run in that way. It's the designed runs and the design plays where he comes alive as a run. He had 726 rushing yards and 20 rushing touchdowns in 2024. But look, he's got traits, he's got physical tools, but the bad things here, in the NFL, he's going to need time, because he needs to completely rework his passing mechanics. He is infuriatingly inconsistent in terms of mechanics, in terms of technique, and his velocity and his touch vary sporadically from down to down. That his flashes throwing deep, there'd be one ball that is perfect. That deep ball could not have been any better, and it's gone for a touchdown. And then the next time he'll throw a deep ball, it will be mind-bogglingly different. That it isn't the same from down to down, and that will infuriate NFL teams. He's also shockingly bad throwing in short and intermediate areas. That his accuracy when throwing less than 10 yards over the line of scrimmage, and his ability to miss that short is, again, you struggle to understand how he's able to do that. And it's because of the mechanics. So if teams are going to invest in Jalen Milroe, they are investing in traits, they're investing in his running ability, they're investing in his size and his dual threat quarterback ability, but they are going to need to completely rework his footwork and his throwing mechanics, because he's clearly got arm talent, he's clearly got arm strength, he's well built, but he needs to vastly improve his consistency, and he could be one of those players who really needs 2 years to sit.
Yeah, I mean, although I have him at 4 as well, it is on the basis of that running ability. When you watch tape of Jalen Milroe and you watch throws back to back, it's almost like you're watching a completely different quarterback throw to throw, and you're checking yourself, was that someone else came on the field for Alabama to take that snap? It is really that stark. He he throws a ball in just a completely different way, a different technique, a different stance. His footwork's different. His arm angle's different. Throw to throw to throw. It's really bizarre. I don't think I've ever watched a quarterback who throws the ball it's almost like he just throws it just whatever way he decides he's going to throw it on that down. It's really odd. He is absolutely electric with the ball in his hands when he decides to run, though. That is tantalizing.
That's the thing. I don't think it's when he decides to run. I think it's when
his coordinator has decided.
It's not him deciding to run. It's designed, because when you see that he's got nothing to throw to and he's hold on to the ball and he needs to run out. He's like a headless chicken. He doesn't really know where he's going. It's when it's designed for him. Yeah,
he does this bit of like, I'll just go a loop round here, I'm not going there, and I'll loop round there, and that's probably why he's been sacked 23 times in each of the last 2 seasons. I see what you mean I know what you mean exactly about his short throws. Playing in the back garden with my 9-year-old son, he throws the ball more consistently to me than Jalen Milroe does to people in a 10-yard distance. He's just a bizarre quarterback to watch. But there is that traits that you hang, that teams will think, actually, because teams are confident. We have got such a good coaching staff. You've seen it time to, we can fix that. We can fix that. We can fix that. We can fix that. And he might develop himself into a backup quarterback who is semi-fixed, and they have some designed run plays for him. And I think that's what you've got to look for at Jalen Milroe. And do you know what? In a couple of years, if he's fixed a couple of things, okay, he might do something. But it's that traits, I think, that people will think, actually, we've got 10 picks in this draft. It's worth a punt.
Yeah, the athleticism, someone will have a go. And like you say, I can fix that. I can teach you how to throw. He's not like
the athleticism for a quarterback is rare.
I mean, I can't think of a runner in athleticism that's been like that in a good few years coming out, to be honest.
People will mention Justin Fields, but he's a more dynamic and threatening rusher than Justin Fields was.
He's not Lamar Jackson, but that's as far, you're thinking about the next one after him. There's not many.
Good. So, all right, moving on. Let's go to your number 3, please, Stu.
Yeah, so number 3 for me is Jaxson Dart.
Buckle up, folks.
It's, again, a player that I don't have a great conviction about. But he's the third of a bunch, if that makes sense, and we're going to say that, and we're going to say he's second of a bunch. He initially was someone who started at USC, where he played a little bit, and then transferred over to Ole Miss, where he's been playing in that offense where they like to throw it all over the place. So he's had plenty of pass attempts in playing for Ole Miss. He's been their starting quarterback essentially since he transferred. They're playing in 13 games in each of the last 3 seasons. He has reasonable accuracy kind of in that intermediate game, and he can place the ball reasonably well. He's got good mobility, and he can kind of throw on the run. He's sometimes, when he's under pressure, he makes certainly some smarter decisions than others at times. I don't think his arm strength is anywhere near elite, and it definitely will limit where he can succeed. His ball placement gets inconsistent the further he's throwing it away from himself, I think, as well. He sometimes does throw a lot off the back foot for me as well, trying to get away from pressure. I've seen him going in first rounds, and I think that's just the fact that people need quarterbacks. I don't think it's because Jaxson Dart is a first-round quarterback by any stretch of the imagination, but in this class, that's enough to get him in number 3 for me.
Yeah, he's one of those players where you're happy to stick with your convictions and let someone else deal with it. The round 1 stuff is mind-boggling to me. Look, Jaxson Dart is my number 3 too. Do I like that I have him at number 3? No. Do I think he's worthy of being number 3? No. Do I think he's an NFL starter? No. But he is the best of the rest as such. And I don't want to do Jaxson Dart a disservice, but I think that we, to be fair to him, we have to speak honestly that I just don't really see it with him compared to what some people are suggesting. The scheme that he plays in at Ole Miss is very RPO friendly, and it is nothing like an NFL offense. No. It is Lane Kiffin completely protects his offense in that way. I think he has well below average arm strength. I think that he can throw the ball downfield occasionally. I don't think it happens anywhere near as often as the highlights would make you suggest. I think he is a slow processor. There's a lot of one read stuff in that offense, and I think he is slow to process even in that scheme. Never mind projecting across to the NFL. So I think he'll certainly have to work with limited reads. I see a lot of the under pressure stuff, but I think he throws panicked under pressure. Look, sometimes that's going to come off, and sometimes it does. But I wasn't impressed with it at all compared to.
That's what I was talking about when he's on his back foot. He just.
Yeah, but I hear there's been some big time analysts saying that he's one of the better quarterbacks throwing under pressure, and I didn't see that. He's one of those quarterbacks where big media are speaking about him, and it makes you think, am I the one that's wrong? And you watch it again, you go, at some point you just have to stick with your convictions, right?
If you're wrong, I'm wrong too.
And yeah, he's just a player that I'm happy to be wrong about. That I'll let someone else be right, and there's plenty of them in this class. If you can get him in a system where he's going to be in an RPO friendly system where he can throw kind of in intermediate areas, and he just have some explosive athleticism as a runner, then you can kind of see how this could work. Do I think he'd be a high level starter? No. Say the arm strength to me was nowhere near as good as it's being made out to be. He has the ability to throw from different angles, but that doesn't translate to arm strength. It's just the ability to say move your arm about and throw from different styles. So yeah, the slow processing, he lacks any anticipation. The mechanics are extremely inconsistent. I don't think there's an awful lot to work with. I had a very, very close between him and Jalen Milroe, to be honest with you, because Jalen Milroe has that elite trait, but Jaxson Dart doesn't. But when you average everything out, they are, say, about the same, and I will have Jaxson Dart over him because I can see if you put him in the right scheme, how it could potentially work. But I'm not going to have him as even a top 100 player in this class, and he's quarterback 3. And I say I hate the fact that we have to have him at quarterback 3 because I don't think that does him any service, because people expect a lot of things if you're the third best quarterback in the class, but that just isn't happening in the 2025 draft.
I worry about him being picked in the first round that we get, dare I say it, Kenny Pickett vibes. If that happens, he was picked in the first round.
I've been trying to think about this, right?
I actually like Kenny Pickett more than I like Jaxson Dart.
Yeah, I think that's fair, and I had him 6 in that class. I would agree with that. I've actually been trying to think about this. That at this point, on the beginning of April, in that draft, were we having Sam Howell, Malik Willis, Kenny Pickett? How many quarterbacks were we mocking in round 1? And is the Jaxson Dart thing in round 1 very similar to that?
Yeah,
and then eventually it ends up.
We have Desmond Ridder. That was another one.
Desmond Ridder, yeah, and then the comment is Matt Corral, who was an Ole Miss quarterback. I find them very, very similar prospects in a way, and it's not just the uniform; it's the offense that they play in. But there was you felt like there was something there, but not enough.
He didn't even take an NFL snap, did he, Matt Corral?
No, he was throwing at the combine. He was one of the quarterbacks throwing at the combine on the days that the quarterback prospects weren't on that Saturday. So yeah, it filtered out for all of them, didn't it? Let's be honest, and it wouldn't surprise you if it ended up that way.
Okay, can't wait for this. We're in our top 2. It must be getting better. Let's find out. Good. Owen, give us who's. Let's be honest. Who's our number 2?
Yeah, it's Shedeur Sanders from Colorado. Heard of him? Yeah, I thought you might have. But the sporting world has absolutely been obsessed with this guy for the last 2 seasons. He is an extremely accurate passer, is the best way to describe him. And I think he is one of the best passers in this class on the move. I think he has below average athleticism, but his ability to throw on the move is really good. And his ability to be accurate on the move is really good. He's a really good, accurate passer. His decision making as a passer is really good. And he's got really good ball placement. Arm strength, I think it is below, again, where a lot of people think it is. And I think, Stu, you'll be able to maybe talk about this, having been there. And I haven't. I don't think Brian has either. But him throwing in Colorado, I think, certainly makes his arm look a lot stronger than it actually is. And I think when you compare how his passes and his film at home compared to when he is playing on the road, and you can tell the difference. That his passes go further and his arm looks a lot stronger when he's playing at home in Boulder. And I think that is because of the conditioning and obviously the air being thinner up high in Colorado. So I think that is something that needs to be bear in mind, that I don't see many people speaking about. Other than, I think he's a below average athlete. I think he's one of the most sacked quarterbacks in the last 2 seasons, and I think he has to take some of the blame for that. Look, Colorado, I think it's fair to say, was the worst offensive line in college football, probably over in 2024 and 2023. But he has to take his fair chunk of blame for some of the sacks. He drifts into contact far too often. I don't particularly think his pocket navigation and sense of rushes in that way is refined. He certainly needs to improve on that, and his instincts and his feel in the pocket weren't at the level that it maybe should have been. But in terms of what you want an NFL starter to be, in terms of accuracy, vision, being a field general, being able to get the ball out quickly and do what an offensive coordinator wants you to do, I think Shedeur Sanders can do that. I can see how he can play as a rookie, and I can see how he can play successfully in the right team. So I can see how it works. Do I ever think he'd be a top 10 quarterback in the league? No, but I can see how he could certainly be serviceable.
Yeah, Owen mentioned earlier on that he's not going to say the word elite again. I'm going to say it twice for Shedeur Sanders. I think he's got elite hype. He's got elite self-confidence. This boy has swagger. He believes in himself, all right. As does his dad. But he is my 2, and I think he was closer to 1 than I thought he was going to be, in truth be told.
Yeah.
I think because he has that exceptional accuracy, that he doesn't put the ball in harm's way a lot. He has been intercepted at reasonable times. His offensive line was horrible, and as a connoisseur of offensive line, I just didn't even want to look at them. It was really poor. But yeah, you're right. He does have to take some of the blame for that as well. He does sometimes hold on to the ball and put himself in harm's way. His touch and ball placement, however, are really, really good though, and I do like that. He's got poise and he's patient in the pocket. He does understand that kind of pro scheme. He's worked under, former NFL coaches as well, and I think he could be a good game manager for somebody in the right situation. And you mentioned about the Colorado air. Boy, that air is thin in Boulder. It takes it out of you, but you can let a ball absolutely zip through that air as well. Little known fact, it actually takes you longer to boil pasta because of the air quality in Boulder. What happened? My friend told me that. So there you go. That's kind of weird things that happen with the air there. But he is. You
could boil pasta the amount of times you hold on to the ball. By the time he's at the ball, the pasta's boiled.
Even in Boulder. So yeah, he's he's an intriguing prospect. There's a lot of hype around him, and I think that all, whether that's positive, whether that's negative, there's a lot of swirls around him. A team will take a chance on him because he has a floor as well to his game. You know you're going to get someone who can put the ball in the right place and put it accurately for your team. And if that's all that you want at times, I think Shedeur Sanders is that. Is he going to make huge waves in the NFL? I don't think so. He's not going to be MVP candidate, win your Super Bowl kind of quarterback. But in this class, that is definitely enough to get you picked early.
Yeah, this is for a completely different podcast, and we could get onto it at a different point. But he'll go because I can tell you what will put bums on seats: Shedeur Sanders, and I know who's going to sell shirts and jerseys with Sanders on the back will fly off the shelf, especially if he's in New York. So,
and how long before he's in a team that's doing rubbish and they dump the head coach as well?
Yeah, you could just imagine an owner strutting into the draft room going, no, Shedeur Sanders, because he will be raking it in as an owner, because the amount of hype there is that, let's say, for instance, he goes to the Giants. All of a sudden, the Giants are being spoken about on talk shows all the time when they wouldn't otherwise be. So, and owners make money from that. So he'll go. It's, even if it is for that reason over football reasons, he'll go.
There we have it, a ringing endorsement of our number 2 quarterback, Shedeur Sanders. I wonder who number 1 could be. Stu, please tell us.
Yeah, Quinn. No, it's not Quinn Ewers. I'm only joking.
Jesus.
I almost thought I was going to do that as well there. No,
absolutely not.
Yeah, you did. That
I've got more faith in you than that.
Yeah, Cam Ward, the quarterback from Miami, is my number 1. Truth be told, if he'd come out a year earlier, which he could have done, he'd have been my QB7.
Yep.
I think I had Bo Nix as 6. He just missed out on my top 5, and I would have had Bo Nix above him.
No doubt.
But we are where we are, and we've got to take each draft class on its own merit. And he is the top quarterback for me in this class. There is a need at the top of this draft board for quarterbacks. He is probably going to go number 1 overall. If not, he's going to go 2. If not, he's definitely going 3. You know, there's no doubt. Like, he's not escaping the top 3. I think that would be completely unrealistic. So he's had a long college career as well. He had a couple of years at the Incarnate Word before transferring to Washington State, and then finally for his last year ending up in Miami. He does have a good arm, and he's able to produce good velocity with it, and he's able to fit that ball into tight windows, and he makes some of the throws that some of the other guys we've talked about that they can't. He's mobile. He's able to extend plays and he can throw in the run. He does make reasonably sensible decisions. He's quite his ball security is reasonable. He's 7 interceptions is not terrible in the last couple of years. He's a bit of a leader. He's one of these kind of people that people tend to rally around as well. What I mean is ball security. I mean in the air. His fumbles is another story. He's lost 8 fumbles last year.
23 interceptions over the last 3 seasons, and definitely improved in 2024.
Yeah. Deep balls, he can be a little bit inconsistent, I think, and he sometimes just relies on that big arm, throwing off the back foot and just hoping that his big arm can get him out of trouble, I think. He is talented, you know, there's no doubt about it, and I think he will go very early, and it wouldn't be a surprise at all if he goes number 1, and that is just the value of a quarterback and team needs. In other years he wouldn't be, but for me he is number 1 this year. Am I happy that I'm calling Cam Ward a number 1 quarterback who's going to go number 1 overall? No, but we are where we are.
Yeah. He's played a lot of football. 57 career games from Incarnate Ward, and then Washington State, then to Miami. We thought he was going to come out last year. Then obviously,
I think for him it was a sensible decision not to.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. And he's heard back from the advisory committee, said, look, he wouldn't have gone in the first 2 rounds, and they've advised he's gone back to school, gone to Miami, got a few million quid, and will now probably be the number 1 overall pick in the draft. So fair play. Like, that was the correct decision for him. People questioned it at the time, but it was absolutely the right decision. Over 18,000 career passing yards and 158 career touchdowns across all of them. He threw 71 touchdowns at Incarnate Ward before transferring. That he's played an awful lot of football. He has won everywhere he's gone, and I think that will certainly help him be sold to owners in terms of this could be the guy to elevate the offense. And I certainly think it will increase his validity to his teammates. I think you could see him in a locker room going, look, this guy's worked hard for it. He was a 0-star recruit. Yeah. Went to the only school that offered him a scholarship. Incarnate Word were the only school that offered Cam Ward a scholarship. He went there, and look, it paid off massively. He is a playmaker. He has a live arm, rolls from different arm angles, and can target all levels of the field. Really good athleticism as well. Strong playmaking, creation capacity as an athlete, but also as a passer. Has a natural feel for rushers to be able to escape, can navigate the pocket as well, and just has the fundamentals. What really holds me back with him, though, is the ball security. 23 interceptions in the last 3 seasons. And it's not even just that number. That number could have been a lot more, because when he's under pressure, instead of throwing the ball away, he will throw the ball up. And numerous times the ball should have been turned over when it wasn't. He becomes panicked when there are players in the face. Sometimes you just be better taking the sack, and that impulsive decision making shows up time and time again. And I think that will certainly have to be reined in as we get to the NFL. 43 fumbles in the last 4 seasons massively needs to be cleaned up. He only has 9-inch hands. We're not going through the hand discussion again. We've been there numerous times. Kenny Pickett has short hands. Joe Burrow has short hands. The NFL doesn't seem to care about it anymore. But 34 fumbles in the last 4 seasons is certainly something to keep in mind. He just needs to protect the football better.
I think to be fair, his interceptions has come down.
Yeah, they've massively improved.
They have improved.
Totally agree.
His touchdown to interception ratio has definitely improved at Miami compared to where he was a couple of years ago at Washington State. So I do think there is progression there, to be fair.
Absolutely, yeah.
But the fumbles is the big one. His passing decision making, I think, has got better. The fumbles is the thing that's a bit more concerning.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah. And if you draft Cam Ward, you're getting a creative playmaker who can do it with his legs, also do it through the air, and you maybe have to live with the fact that he's going to play hero ball at times. And there will be rough patches as a rookie where he will learn the hard way that he will turn the ball over early in his NFL career, and you are going to have to ride some of that out. But I would bet that he's able to overcome that, because he's overcome a lot in his career. He has that grit, he has that mentality that he needs to prove everyone wrong. So I'm say he wouldn't, if you're comparing it to other classes, which is unfair on Cam Ward because we're not in other classes. This is the class. If you're comparing him to other prospects in this class, then there are a lot in totality. There are a lot better prospects, graded prospects in this class, whether that's edge rushers, corners, whatever. But in terms of quarterback, he gets a premium because of that, and he will be the first quarterback off the board and unlikely the number 1 overall pick. But a team will be getting a player who has tendencies to turn the ball over at times, but you are getting an instinctively creative playmaker for that.
For all we say about Shedeur's passing accuracy, they had more interceptions than Cam Ward did last season. So
yeah.
There was more interceptions last season than Cam Ward had in every season, bar one when he was at Incarnate Word. So I'm not as concerned. But yeah, I think he is now looks like the clubhouse leader for being the number 1 overall pick, isn't it? That seems to be state of play at the moment. We know these things change, and things have changed on the night before draft when you think of Baker Mayfield a few years ago and you think of Trayvon Walker coming out of nowhere fairly quickly, but I'm not sure I see that happening. I still think
look, it's going to happen, isn't it? And again, it's for maybe a different podcast when we're talking about maybe doing some landing spots, talking stuff like that maybe it can come up then. But the fact that the Giants signed Russell Wilson hours after Cam Ward's pro day ended probably told you everything.
Mm-hmm. There we go. Well, that was kind of exciting. And that brings us to the end of our top 5 series. How exciting. You
mean I don't get to talk about Quinn Ewers? That's terrible.
Well, it's your top 5, mate.
Do you know, I'd
rather not.
I'm annoyed that he became not good.
Yeah,
because back in our 99 yards days when he signed his deal and came out early to play Ohio State, I wrote a thing about who is Quinn Ewers. I remember doing it and thought, this guy's going to be really good. And it's just kind of fizzled.
I don't know who's advised him to enter the NFL, but he needs different advisors because he wasn't going to be the starter at Texas next season. It means that he would have had to have transferred. That might mean that he has to take a step back. He wouldn't have got that premier school like Texas is, like an Alabama is, like a Georgia is. He would have probably had to have taken a step back and maybe took a hit to the ego. But you could see how if he had done that and had a really good season, that he's potentially a day 2 pick and was maybe entering into some discussion. But as it is right now, he's just not it. Well,
there we go. Quarterbacks. They've got to get drafted. Someone's going to take a go on him. Like you said, someone's going to try. I can fix him. Let's see. It's the most important position in sport. We'll see what happens. So, but yeah, there we go. Remind the people of your top 5s again, please, guys.
Yeah, so mine was Kyle McCord from Syracuse at 5, Jalen Milroe from Alabama at 4, Jaxson Dart at 3, Shedeur Sanders from Colorado at 2, and Miami's Cam Ward at number 1.
Yeah, and again, we're in lockstep here, really. I had Tyler Shirt at 5, and the rest of the way we were the same. Jalen Milroe, Jaxson Dart, Shedeur Sanders, and Cam Ward.
Good stuff. Well, good luck to your teams if they do draft one of them. No, it's got to be fun. But yes, we'll be back. We've got, it's not long, a couple of weeks left till the draft. Bringing on very exciting times. But yeah, we'll be back. We'll probably do another mock. We'll do potential landing spots, all sorts of fun stuff. Now the top 5s are in the bag. But that's it. Thank you very much for listening. We'll be back soon. Take care of yourselves.